has sanctioned plans by the Sky Blues to play their home games in Northampton for the next 3 seasons. The league says it gave the approval with deep regret because the club's new owners, Otium, hadn't been able to resolve the differences with ACL, the company which runs the Ricoh Arena. Otium has to provide £1 million bond now, an assurance that they'll return to the Coventry area. The Football League chairman, Greg Clark, has urged Otium to explore every possibility to resolve the dispute with ACL. Let's talk to Tim Fisher, Chief Executive of Coventry City Football Club, who joins us on the show. Thanks for being with us this morning, Tim.
My pleasure. Good morning.
Will you be doing that? The Football League chairman, Greg Clark, has urged you to explore every possibility to resolve the dispute with ACL. Will you be taking his advice?
Well, we previously did take that advice, Shane, but as you know, back in February we were told unequivocally that there would be no more negotiations. It was at an end. So we took that clear signal to get on with the rest of our business and stop talking to ACL.
But he's now saying you should go back and talk. There's deep regret that they've approved your move, and they're saying that you should go back and talk. You don't fancy that by the sound of it?
Well, there is regret, and I do have to say, a very sombre mood at the football club. It's not with a high heart that we go and ground share, Shane. It's with a heavy heart that we have to go and take this interim measure. But again, this is no surprise. I spent a number of evenings sitting in front of fans, being very clear that we were going to do a ground share ahead of the projected stadium build, which is still the plan.
How long ago did you look at Northampton? It was never mentioned, was it really? Or there was lots of speculation and conjecture, Tim, and people were saying, it could be this, could be that, and Walsall was talked about extensively. But how long have you been looking at Northampton as a possibility?
Northampton is simply one of a cluster of clubs in the area that we looked at. And yes, we did look at Walsall. The Football League were very unhappy with the pitch at Walsall, and we looked at a number of other clubs and opportunities. And we did a deal with Northampton, which was agreed and consummated last week.
And what about the fans in all of this? I mean, I've been getting, I don't know if you've seen our Twitter feed this morning, my Twitter feed this morning, but the fans... The range of emotion generally seems from upset, disbelief, and anger in some cases as well. I mean, the fans are not into this at all, are they? They don't want this to happen at all.
That's right. I'm very respectful of the fans. I'm very respectful of their opinion. Of course I am. Ultimately, the football club has to fulfil its fixtures, and the Football League sat down with us and agreed that there was too much risk of not being able to fulfil its fixtures without a ground share. Because ACL, of course, simply said, we will only negotiate, we will only talk to the football club that's in administration, which is run by Mr. Appleton. We don't recognise Fisher, and we don't recognise Holdings, and we don't recognise Otium. So, a very sombre mood around the club, but we have to move the club forward. This is only a temporary ground share. Let's be very mindful of that. We've got an exciting future. We are building a new stadium, which will own all its own revenues, and that's what this is all about. This is about financial fair play and securing the long-term future of the football club.
And where's the funding going to come from for the new stadium?
Well, of course, what we had to do was put a financial plan in front of the Football League, which we've done. And as part of that planning, we have to show the financing for a new stadium. So it's very much part of the whole project.
So where is the money going to come from?
Well, it'll be a mixture of debt and equity, as in most of these projects, and the scheme will create the equity uplift, which will create, if you like, prime the pump to put the first monies along with CSU monies into the project.
So, and when you talk about investment, that's not just solely CSU money then, from what you're saying?
No, it will be CSU money in terms of the equity, for sure. And
the debt? Where are you going to borrow money from?
Well, there are various sources of debt. And again, this is something we've sat down with the Football League and talked about and discussed the balance between debt and equity. And again, it's a very exciting project, one which takes the club massively forward and, in terms of financial fair play, shoots the lights out.
But you must have, I would have thought, I mean, it's kind of sounds a bit vague, and you must have a definitive plan. We're going to borrow money from here, and the equity is going to come from here. The equity you're saying is coming from Sisu. Where's the loan going to be coming from?
Well, the loan will come from, I have projected, some money will come from the hedge fund and some will come from external sources. But that's very, very normal in these circumstances.
And how much?
It's a very normal way of project finance.
How much are you hoping to raise?
That is proprietary information. So, again, that's something we will share with the Football League and have shared with the Football League, but not something we're prepared to go out and talk about in public.
And what size will the ground be that you build?
Well, it'll be a modular ground, Shane, in the sense of you will start off with, we're thinking high teens, and then what will happen is it will grow as the football club grows.
The fans this morning, Tim, I have to say, I mean, you know, as you rightly say, I mean, you talk about the business, and there's a business aspect to this, there's an emotional aspect to this. I don't know if you've heard the clip of John Sillett, which has been all over the internet as you know, when we talked to him a few days ago, in tears, that emotion running very high. And fans this morning on Twitter, for example, are, you know, they're talking about things like a lost generation. My 7-year-old first went to 2. We are going to go for the future for Coventry City Football Club is bleak. Is just one tweet that I'm reading this morning. The fans feel let down because you said that you would canvass opinion from them at the fans forum, and it would appear that you haven't acted on that. Isn't that a fair criticism?
I think that's a very unfair criticism because, first and foremost, whether you're 7, 17 or 70, having no football club would be a damn sight more upsetting than having to ground share. And again, this is a temporary provision whilst we build a new stadium, a stadium that secures the long-term future of the football club.
But those aren't the two options on the table, are they? Not having a football club or having one is not the option. Playing at the Rico or not playing at the Rico is surely the option that people have, and they're saying that's where they'd like to. Let me just take you back a bit. The fans forum, which you know you were at and we recorded. They weren't our fans forum, but just let me remind you of this.
You take my club, Coventry City Football Club, away from the arena, and I won't go to see Coventry City again. And I would think a lot of the people here would be exactly the same.
Bob, thank you for that. Now, I've had a number of discussions with, you can't imagine how many fans this week, and some of them actually take your position. You're absolutely right. A matter of principle, Tim, I'm not moving. However, some actually, when we get talking to them, actually understand why we need to do this, and this is because of financial fair play.
How many people would be prepared to go and watch Coventry City play after the ground share at another venue other than the Rico Arena in the Coventry area? Please show hands. Lots more people than that. Roughly a third of the room have put their hands up to say they would do that.
So, you know, the issue is who's going to go there. I mean, Chris in Nuneaton sent a text this morning, Tim, and said, I run a business, and if my business plan involved alienating approximately 70% of my customers, then I'd be seriously reconsidering the plan that's explained to him. Or is it just gambling with Coventry City Football Club's future? The figures simply don't stack up, says Chris in Nuneaton.
Shane, before you started to play the clips, you said you had the option of playing at the Rico Arena. And this is the very clear and precise point, which is we haven't had the option to play at the Rico Arena. That is why we had to ground share. Only the administrator, who did not have the players to put a team on the pitch, had an option to so-called play at the Rico Arena. So we've had to ground share. It's a fact.
And what about the fans? What about their thoughts in all of this? I mean, that's, you know, you canvass opinion, you say to the fans, what would you like to do? And they said, we'd like to stay in the city. And, you know, you're not.
Shane, the very, very clear point here, and again, it's interesting that you keep coming back to the Rico Arena, is that the Rico Arena, under the auspices of Arena Coventry Limited, stopped negotiations back in February, and they were very, very crystal clear. Shane, you have to move on. We have to protect the club, and that's what we've done. It doesn't mean we're delighted. It doesn't mean we're proud or happy with the position we've got today. We're very sombre. We're very respectful, and we're going to work hard to bring the fans along. We've do some great deals in terms of tickets and travel to make sure that the fans get there. We know there's an inconvenience, but there'd be an even bigger inconvenience if the club wasn't able to fulfil its fixtures. And that is why the Football League has worked with us, because they saw the seriousness of the position.
As I understand it, in order to come out of administration now, you have to have 75% approval at least by the creditors. Are you going to be able to get that?
Well, there are two ways this could go. So a CVA has been proposed, and if the unsecured creditor, ACL, wants to vote that through, then they will. If you remember back in the 13th of March, what Mr. Nicholas Carter, chairman of ACL, said, with the full support of the council and Mr. Mutton, was we want to give it the best possible chance of survival in the Football League rather than face the prospect of liquidation. So one of the options is, of course, liquidation. Now, if they choose that, then it will have been a self-fulfilling prophecy, according to them.
Is there any sense that if new negotiations were put on the table, would you consider them? I mean, some of the fans this morning, I have to say, it does wonder whether what you've done and the way that you've played or chosen to play your hand may well have had, with some fans, certainly some resonance. Because I've had one or two people saying this morning that we should have ACL on the show. We've actually invited them to come on the show this morning, and the council as well, and they should be talking to you because this is just unacceptable now. If that was a possibility, would you rule out any future negotiations with ACL, Tim, at this point, or not?
First of all, Shane, you've used the expression played your hand. That suggests a game of poker. This isn't a game of poker. This isn't a game of brinksmanship. This is not a game of chicken. We have just secured the future of the football club. Now, we have done a deal with Northampton Town Football Club to play there for the next 3 years with 2 one-year options thereafter. In order to break that would be very expensive. I'm sorry, Shane, the deal has been done.